which this just gets more and more unhinged as we go.
I use marijuana daily. All day, every day. And it's legal in what states? California. So we can either get there or not get there. Your choice tonight.
All right, in today's video, I'm going to be reacting to an absolutely unhinged court hearing that aired on A&E Cable Network, which was also repurposed to their YouTube channel. I'll put the link to the original video in the video description, where we have a parent who self-admittedly reports using cannabis all day, every day. And she's admitting this during a custody evaluation. And if you're not familiar with what a custody evaluation is, I'll read to you what that is. It's a process used in family court to assess what custody arrangement would be in the best interests of a child during a divorce or separation. It typically involves a judge and then some type of social worker or licensed mental health professional. So this is like a serious thing. If you're a parent and you have kids and you use cannabis and you're worried that you might be on the verge of divorce or separation, this is something that you want to watch and you want to consider. I'm going to react to the behavior of the individual who's regularly using cannabis. And then we're going to talk a little bit more about the legality of cannabis consumption with regard to custody evaluations. This is just a completely unhinged case, and it is more than fascinating.
Custody evaluation was completed, and so we have filed a motion for drug screening and a motion for a psychological exam based on that custody evaluation recommendations.
Blah, 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 blah.
Stop talking. You'll be able to respond in just a second. Ms. Kimball, you can go ahead and finish, and then Ms. Stiles, you'll have an opportunity to respond in just a minute.
I need to pause the hearing. I don't have an attorney. Can you give me some time to get an attorney? I haven't had adequate time to obtain an attorney, and my attorney withdrawed, and I'm going to need one appointed by the state.
So I'll give you guys a chance in the comments to guess who is regularly consuming cannabis. And I'm not saying this as a judgment upon parents who consume cannabis or anyone who consumes it. Just if you had to take a wild guess of the 5 people, 1, 2, 3, 5 people in the frame, who is the regular cannabis consumer in this case? And I'm also going to say this is not a good way to show up to court. If visitation with your children is on the line and you're showing up to court from, what appears to be seated on a lazy boy couch or something like that with a blanket on, probably not a very professional look. And we're going to talk more about that because that's actually very important beyond just the unprofessionalism of it all.
That's not an option.
Also worth note, it appears that this individual's attorney has withdrawn from helping her on the case, which attorneys don't do that too often.
There's nothing there unless someone's asking that someone be held in contempt and jailed, which is not something that's set in front of me, or it's a action by the state to terminate a parent's rights or something like that. Those are the only times I have the ability to appoint an attorney for you.
Okay, then go ahead.
We also had sent discovery out as laid out in our motion sometime back. I had worked with Ms. Stiles' prior counsel and had agreed to 2 extensions, and then we ultimately never got a response, and she filed a motion for protection.
She got plenty of responses. Objection.
It's your objection. Hold on, wait a second. Ms. Stiles, you just need to object and then let me know what your objection is. Don't yell at her.
Objection to hearsay. How do I submit my documents to you directly?
Hold on.
Custody evaluation was completed.
Okay, now we're going to jump into part 2. So what the person is saying is basically that they asked, it sounds like, this woman to submit a bunch of documents, and it sounds like there was no response given. Her objection is that she had submitted the documents and that no one responded, which this just gets more and more unhinged as we go.
I use marijuana daily. All day, every day. And it's legal in what states? California. So we can either get there or not get there. Your choice tonight. So I'm glad to take direct.
Stop.
Okay, go. It's going to be on his expense,
Stop.
but I'm
Stop. Stop. I'm pretty low key. We're in court.
So I'm not sure what she's saying. She said she uses cannabis all day, every day, or whatever, and it's legal in California. And then she says we're going to get there or not get there on his expense. Presumably that's her husband or significant other's expense. I'm not sure where she's going with this. I'm not sure if she's saying like, I use marijuana all day, every day, so we're going to relocate to California, or what exactly is going on. But I want you to understand, just because cannabis is legal recreationally, or even if it's prescribed medically, like any other medication that could be prescribed, that doesn't mean that the children are automatically safe in that environment just because one of the parents is consuming a legal substance. The same thing goes for alcohol too, as well, right? So I think her thought process is, okay, I'm going to get to a legal state, or I'm in a legal state, and that should take care of me using marijuana all day, every day.
Fed up with Miss Kimball.
You need to be respectful.
I'm
So
fed
you can just, if you're going to use my last name, that's fine. Just say Judge Tenig. Okay, it's pretty easy. So you use marijuana all day, every day?
Not really day, every day, but I use it daily, if that helps you with your interpretations. Mr. Low-Key Honorable Judge Tenig.
I'm not interpreting. I just said what you said.
Okay.
He literally repeated back exactly what she said, word for word, no more than maybe 5 seconds prior to her saying that. So there's a few things that we're starting to see here. One is a complete lack of apathy, right? There is just, I don't care, F it type mentality with this hearing. And I understand people go through things. I don't know what this couple's gone through as a couple or whatever, but like, I hate to say it, this is not uncommon with cannabis use. A complete lack of apathy, apathy for other people, apathy for the situations that people find themselves in. The other thing, the lack of respect and professionalism. You know, I'm very fortunate. I do work with a lot of younger people and people who struggle with substance use. And usually the demographic that I'm speaking to is very respectful to me and others. But that's not always the case. Like, I have interacted, especially in the high schools, with plenty of students who have a complete disrespect for faculty, staff, for their own parents, friends' parents, and the primary drug is cannabis. And they will drop F you, F that, I don't have to listen, name calling, a complete lack of apathy for why it is they're in trouble, just zero regard for the circumstances and what's potentially at stake in the given situation. And that's a lot of what I'm seeing from this individual right now in my reaction to this. So let's continue.
What is your response to the request for a psychological evaluation?
Not doing it, and you cannot force me to do it. You cannot physically make me go and show up and partake in anything that I do not want to partake in. Yes or no? Do you agree or not agree?
You don't get to ask me questions right now. I'm asking your position.
That's my response to you. You will not get any. I'm not doing a psych eval, and you cannot make it mandatory.
Interesting.
So interesting is what the judge says. So I want to look this up real quick. Can a judge mandate? I'm sure they can. Judge mandate psych eval. So let's see here. Yeah, so a judge absolutely can in custody cases. Same thing with a drug test as well too. So yeah.
In terms of the motion to compel, where they're talking about discovery, what's your response to their motion to compel?
Have you read their discovery? When are you going to view my videos?
Ma'am, you need to answer my question.
I answered your goddamn question.
All right.
I use marijuana daily.
All right, let's hit part 3.
I'm going to warn you that it is completely inappropriate to swear like that in court. You need to take yourself, you need to put yourself back on camera. Thank you. I'm not going to allow that. So if you do that again, I'm going to sanction you $100 for every time that you swear in court, because that's not appropriate. You just need to not do it. You can answer the question and be respectful to Ms. Kimball and to the court. And I'm not going to tell you how to answer, but you can just say whether or not you're in agreement with something. In terms of the motion to compel, I haven't heard it yet. So I'm just trying to find out from a cursory standpoint what your position is on these 4 issues so that I can figure out if there are partial agreements or not. It sounds like there aren't. So based upon your response, I'm going to take it that you're not in agreement with their motion to compel. In terms of their request for deposition dates, what's your response to that? I see no prompt to unmute yourself.
What date?
I don't even know that she knew she was muted that whole time. There was a period of time where she was just saying a bunch of stuff, and obviously you couldn't hear anything. And then the judge is like, you have to unmute yourself. So this would be a complete lack of awareness, right? Like, obviously there's a massive lack of awareness is what's going on here. But like you spoke for a solid, I don't know, minute, and there was just absolutely zero awareness to that you were muted. Again, another thing that's not uncommon with substance use, a lack of awareness. Not trying to judge, not trying to say this in a shameful way. This is just the reality in a lot of cases with regular substance use.
Dates.
Ms. Kimball, do you have proposed dates?
I can. I would propose.
And whose expense? Mine? Because if it's mine, I'm not fucking doing it. Sanction, give me $100 fee. Woo
Okay,
woo.
well, so I am finding you in direct contempt.
Okay, one fine.
The husband's reaction just I can't do this anymore. That's just
You $100.
Okay, make it 2. Damn, I said 2 words.
Ma'am, I don't think you want to do this. At least the people in the courtroom seem to think you don't want to do this. I will, not because you're requesting it, but because you're not following the order. As I said, sanction you.
Please do.
Let me do it. So that's
Please.
$200.
Here, I'm sure she wants my apartment number, right? Turn it to Miss Kimball. You're gonna want.
Stop. That's not something that she asked for. Ms. Kimball, what dates?
No,
what date is
everybody else.
I would propose August 30th or September.
So the other interesting thing too is when you're in a custody battle, you also have to be aware of financial responsibilities for kids, right? So I assume she's saying just place me in contempt and fine me because she has no intention or doesn't have the money to pay. It's made clear in other videos that there's been no child support payments or any whatever it is, whatever payments were supposed to go to her husband haven't gone through when you watch the future videos on this. And like when you combine this type of behavior with all day, everyday substance use, with a lack of financial regard for a situation, you're putting yourself at a high risk of losing custody of your kids. Now, does this individual care or not? I don't know. But like for anyone else watching this, like what not to do in court 101.
Per second.
Okay.
How long?
Are you wanting how long? That's a valid question. Is it half day, an hour, 2 hours? What do you anticipate?
I would anticipate a full day.
Okay.
So what? The
Ms.
30th or the 2nd?
Yep. Which of those dates works better for you, Ms. Stiles?
What time, dumbass? 3 contempts.
You're correct. That is 3.
You're correct.
Yep.
Supposed to start at 9 a.m.
What date?
So that question is to you. Never mind.
Said what
I'm not
time?
gonna let you
Time,
pick.
date.
It honestly sound, and I hate to say this, but this behavior is not that far off from what you see today in a high school setting with students interacting with teachers and faculty and things like that. This is not far off. And a lot of these kids, they're geeked up off of, a dab pen or a card or something like that.
These
I'm not gonna
things.
let you look at, you don't get to do this for your own pocketbook. I'm muting you for, all right, I'm going to count that as another violation. I'm going to warn you that.
So she
Your
wrapped
Honor, I
up.
think based on the presentation today of Ms. Stiles and the custody evaluation report from Mr. Bouchard, I think it's apparent that there could be some mental health issues that would obviously impact custody and access to the child. So we believe that psychological evaluation would be necessary. Furthermore, Ms. Stiles is not in possession of any of her children at this point, and has not been paying support on ALA for a little over a year now. And so we would be requesting, she's also received the tax stimulus funds and income tax returns for claiming the children. So we would ask that the expenses be put on Ms. Stiles to pay for that.
I'm sorry, to pay for what part specifically?
For the drug test and the psychological evaluation.
Because she's been receiving that money.
Yes, sir.
Okay. I think I know the answer, but I don't want to assume. Mr. Parnell, have you received any of that money? Does she provide even $100 to you?
No, sir.
Thanks. I was taking your attorney's representation as being true. But sometimes it helps me just to understand. Okay, in the motion.
All right, so let's go into this. This just goes on. Basically, obviously, she's cooked in this. She cooked herself. And it's, again, based on a lack of professionalism. A complete lack of emotional regulation, too, is something else that you see there. And that can be caused by a lot of things, not just substance use. But I think in a case like this, substance use has to be considered. And they are considering that. Not only will she be probably mandated to go through with the psychological evaluation and drug test, but it's going to be on her dime, too, because she's been collecting that money for the kids. And I don't know what people go through in life again, but like it's hard to believe without excessive substance use that someone could create this lack of apathy towards their own children and their family and things like that. Now, going back to marijuana in regards to custody battles and how this all works. Let's see. So, how is cannabis evaluated in custody cases? Legal status, medical marijuana or recreational use. They can still examine how it impacts a parent's abilities to be a parent and carry out the responsibilities that are associated with parenting. So that's a huge issue. You can be using alcohol, cannabis, prescription medication, but if they feel that it's negatively impacting your ability to parent appropriately, and when we see things like this emotional outburst, a complete lack of apathy, financial irresponsibility, which would be important to be able to provide for the children, this, they're gonna fry you. They're gonna burn you, no pun intended, on the cannabis use without question. Look, it goes on to say occasional legal cannabis use outside of parenting may not be an issue, but use that leads to impaired parenting capabilities while caring for the children may be considered dangerous by the court and the judge and lead to restricted parenting visitation. So, like at the end of the day, I say this a lot. Drug use makes you a liability. It makes you a liability financially. It makes you a liability to yourself, both physically and mentally. And it can make you a liability to your own family in some cases. And I'm not saying everyone who drinks and smokes weed is a liability to their family. I'm not all saying that. I'm sure there's plenty of people who drink alcohol and smoke weed and are wonderful parents and all that stuff. But in cases like this, if you're smoking a lot, if you have noticed it's impacting you, especially if you're on a downward spiral in your current relationship, you might want to get that in check and get that in check fast, because your whole world might get flipped upside down very quickly. I'm not implying that you're going to go on into court and behave like this. I think it's kind of a rarity to see this type of behavior, although I do believe we're going to see it more and more often with the increased cannabis strengths and usage, because I see this behavior often, never really directed towards me because I have a good rapport with people that I work with, even younger people, but I see it outwardly directed at other individuals all the time, like this exact type of behavior. Anyways, if you need help quitting, check out the links in the pinned comments in the video description. Until next time.